Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 28th of August. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director at Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So this week we have Green Technology Metals, Atlas Arteria, Telix Pharmaceuticals, Smart Parking and Kaiser Reef. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you've signed up to the free newsletter, but our best recommendations come out on Tuesday in the Dynamic Investor Report, so make sure you are getting that report. But if you do enjoy these videos, we'd love you to share them on social media or even leave us a review. Our main business is in portfolio management, so if you'd like my personal help in managing your portfolio, please call me, and the advice here is general only. So we've got GT1, we could see over the past few years, obviously did really well. A few years ago, fell away quite substantially, now seems to be forming a base. If I move to the daily chart, I could see that the movement off the June low has seen quite large volumes on the way up. So that's actually a pretty good positive. If we have a look at what it's doing here, also just sort of short term, big move here on volume, and then it's eased back on next to no volume. So that's basically a bull flag, and it looks poised to head higher again. Okay, Atlas Arteria, if we look at a weekly chart, see that it actually made a very clear downtrend, respected that line on multiple occasions, but it did break that downtrend earlier this year, so it's popped up. And we could see that since then it's made some higher highs, a couple of higher lows, so that's all a positive. It looks like it's maybe hitting a bit of resistance here at this point near 550, but it's looking like it wants to head higher, and at the moment it looks like it's something that you'd be buying on a dip. Okay, Telix, we last looked at this one in early June, so initially there was for a few years, very nice trend. It's something that we traded for clients, but that trend did break, and the shares were struggling, so we could see that they've continued to struggle over the past sort of month and a half. On the weekly chart, you've got sort of these long sort of wicks here on these candles, so it's almost like a little triple bottom, so potentially that's a positive. If I just move to the daily, it's just not making any progress yet, so it might just need more time. Maybe it needs the base build. I think if it can, you've got a gap here at 20, I guess if it can sort of fill that and get above 20, then it starts to look better. SPZ, so move to the weekly, nice uptrend, and then you had this sort of failed sort of breakout where it gapped up really high, closed on its lows, and then was sold off heavily just after as well. So you've got a period here where the uptrend is finished. Now it's going sideways. Looking at the daily chart, it entered this sort of period of low volatility, and then sort of burst higher here on good volume. So it looks like it wants to head higher. I think that it looks like around this sort of dollar region is where you've got resistance. So I guess if you can get above $1 and stay there, then it's looking more positive. Finally, Kaiser Reef, so better to look at this one on a weekly. We could see this big gap up here on volume last year, so there was potentially a breakout underway, but it sort of failed to follow through. So it's come back and it's just continuing on with what it was doing here, sort of, range bound, drifting higher. You've probably got more of a base building now. So I think that, maybe it just does this for a bit longer, and I think it needs to look positive again. It needs to clear this line. So it needs to have another go at these levels, but actually clear it and stay above that line. Okay, well that's all for this week. So if you have requests, send it through and I'll try to cover it next Thursday.